Started out here in, I'm a native of Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Got licensed in 2015, knew a ton of people in town, and got started at some boutique brokerages and bounced around from boutique brokerage to boutique brokerage, resisting that Keller Kool-Aid for a long time. And it was finally in 2020 when I was introduced to Keller through a friend who had a similar track, and finally took the leap of faith and joined, and the rest is sort of history. I don't know how detailed you want me to go.
Yeah, so let's go into that story just a little bit, because you talked about your friend who you and him joined real estate at the exact same time.
Yeah, so my friend, I got licensed in 2015 at the same time as a friend of mine who, if any of you are on the Pivot Shift call with James Shaw every morning, Jack Smith from St. Pete, Florida, okay? Jack Smith is a dear friend of mine. We both got licensed in 2015. He is twice my age. He lost everything in Hurricane Sandy and moved to St. Pete, not knowing a soul in town. He got his real estate license, and he immediately went to work for Keller Williams, got into the productivity coaching program, and it was a really interesting parallel to see his career, having started with Keller Williams, getting into productivity coaching and learning the systems, tools, and models that's afforded to us here, and my track, which was, I'm the local guy, I'm a third generation graduate at the same high school as my grandparents, like, I got this, like, I can figure this out. And, I did okay. I did 3, 5, 7 million, and just trying to figure it all out on my own. And eventually, Jack and I, of course, stayed in touch, and we're good friends to this day. And fast forward to 2020, and we're in the middle of the pandemic. Everything's still somewhat quasi shut down. The James Shaw calls on, and I called Jack, and I hadn't heard of James Shaw at that point. I called Jack because he had just posted something that they were on track to hit 30 million in sales that year. This is someone twice my age, moved to an area he didn't know anybody, and got his license at the same time I did, and he's doing, a significant amount of business. I said, what the hell are you doing? I said, you're practically dead. You're running circles around me. That's exactly what I said. And so he says to me, he says, Jason, I've been telling you for years, it's everything I've learned at Keller Williams through the systems, tools, and models and the coaching, and that's been the butter to my bread. And so he introduced me to his productivity coach, who's Michael Reedy, who I then came to find out he was like the number 3 productivity coach for the entire company, who's been on stage at family reunion and all that. And anyhow, I reached out to Reedy, and the rest is sort of history. I found my who, know.
So Jack was a connector for you.
Jack connected me to Reedy, and Jack is my sponsor. He's the reason I'm here today. He's the reason that and it was that he didn't recruit me. It was his life that had changed in such a way through what we're afforded here at Keller that it was an attraction rather than promotion.
Yeah. And so, what were some of the things that he shared with you that he learned from his productivity coach that really transformed your business as well?
I mean, it was just the basics. It's the basics that we all learn here, and that's the thing. There's nothing new under the sun. There's no I don't know. I'm not like some smart dude sitting up here. Everything I know because it's been imparted to me by somebody else who's done it better, faster, or more successfully than I have. And the reality is everything we need to know is in that book or available to us through the productivity coaching programs here or outside of here or wherever. And it was learning to dream big and to not be afraid to ask for business and getting out of my own way and realizing that, because for so long, the biggest hang up for me was I didn't want to join a corporate brokerage. I didn't want to pay the fees. I didn't want to pay this, and all of that. And now I look back, and we did a little exercise where I went back over the 5 years prior to joining Keller, and we realized how much money I had funded towards my broker's yachts and planes and all those things. And, I realized, wow, that could have all been money going back into my business if I had been on a CAP model.
Yeah. So looking back at it, you mentioned the word fundamentals that we teach here. What are some of those fundamentals that you had not learned when you were out on your own that when you got connected to KW and to the coaching program you realize, okay, I wish I had known this sooner?
I think the biggest thing was mindset for me.
Yeah.
It was coming, like I was like dumbfounded that people would get on a Zoom call and openly share what was working in their businesses for other people to go and implement in their own businesses.
And
Like that's like, who does that? Like you hold on to yours and you keep it and you do it because you don't want to share it. And it was mind boggling to me. And then I learned that we come from a place of contribution, and we learned the bold laws and all of these things, and and they can get cheesy, right? They can be cheesy, and they can be if we let them be. But then, as I've grown into this, into my career and in life through my journey here at Keller, they really are the fundamental things that I find myself reverting back to at times, and but the biggest thing was just the change in mindset that if Jack Smith can do it, Jason Wetherington can do it. I can't pronounce my last name, but I can do that.
I love that. So it was that shift call was kind of a catalyst for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I back then there were there were a few hundred people. It was a lot easier to interact, and now I think there's like 1,000 every morning and all that. And but I learned, simple. One of the things I learned, it was so simple, and yet I did it and it worked. So I was farming my neighborhood in East Fort Lauderdale, postcards. I did a food drive with a branded bag, and I did what I learned here. But one of the things that I heard on that call was, as you're walking around your neighborhood and you see people making improvements to their home and it looks good, send them a note. And I thought, that's stupid. Who's going to do that? So I'm out walking my dog, and this neighbor of mine had completely redone their landscaping, and it was sick. They did lighting, a whole 9 yards. And so I used my personal stationery, and I sent him a little note. Hey, I walk past your house every day with my golden retriever, Lexi. Just wanted to say what a great, how great your yard looks, whatever. It was on my personal stationery, but I threw my card in there. They called me like 3 months later. And, hey, we got a card from you in the mail, a couple months ago. I'm like, okay. And he says, we're going to be moving to Chicago. We wanted to see if you'd list our house for us. And that's a very simple thing. But that writing that card and complimenting someone on the improvement they made to their home, it's not new to me. I heard it on a call that somebody shared across the country that they did. I did it. I got both sides of the deal here and referred them up to an agent in Chicago for the purchase up there. So, there were little things like that I learned on that call. I learned from other people and implemented that paid off.
There's power in a personal touch. Remember that. There's a lot of power in that. Because did you do any follow-up with them between those 3 months?
Well, I had my automated monthly.
Yeah.
I had my automated monthly mailer and all that stuff, but there was no personal touch or text.
Yeah.
Just walk by their house every day.
Wow, that's awesome.
Creeping.
Yeah. Be careful with what you write in the note.
Yeah.
But yeah, you complimented them on what a lot of people hadn't done. And unfortunately, we live in a world where most of the time if you're getting a letter from a neighbor, it's usually about something you haven't done right.
I've been amazed at how many people, how often do you get a handwritten note in the mail?
Not often.
Never. It's amazing that when I get them, how touched, it feels. And it takes, 50 cents. How much is a stamp? And, 63?
Next week. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Man, I wish I would have bought stamps when they became forever.
Where are those forever stamps?
Yeah.
So, but then that, to that point about just the personal touches and everything, when I got started in real estate, I didn't have a pot to pee in. I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Wilton Manors. I had window shaker wall units. I was sleeping on an air mattress. But I had a real estate license. I knew what it was like to be poor, being raised by a single mom. And I knew that I didn't want to live that way anymore. And so I got on Facebook because it was free. I filmed a video before people were doing a lot of videos with my iPhone, in front of my bookshelf, trying to look all whatever. I posted that out there, and I just started working my sphere of influence, and that's how I built my business. And so I had a hard time when I came to Keller and started hearing about people spending all of this money in their marketing efforts and everything, because one, I didn't have any money, and two, I had already done a fairly decent job of staying in intentional relationship with the people that already knew me, liked me, and trusted me. And the referrals started coming. I closed my first deal in a month and a half, and that was a referral and led to another referral, and the rest is, that's just how it started. And a lot of people do Christmas cards. I've always done a Thanksgiving gratitude card. Not many people do those, so it sort of sticks out a little bit more than the Christmas cards. But home anniversaries and birthdays, everything. Look, there's no like complicated like formula to any of this. Like, it's all been shared with you by our productivity coaches here, by whatever. It's the secret is to just do it.
It's in the MREA.
It's yeah. I mean, the secret is to just do it. And the results will come. And it's I had to get into action and actually, like, okay, I've got the knowledge, or as James say, you've put in the inspiration, or you got the inspiration, now put in the perspiration. Yeah. Once I got into action and I started seeing the results for myself, it just fueled the flame, and I just was putting more and more into it, and the results came.
So I think this part is so cool. When you engaged a coach, mm-hmm. you ended up making, I think you said $143,000 more.
My first year joining Keller Williams, and I immediately went to work with my productivity coach. I increased my GCI by $134,520.
How did you do it?
Well, by doing what was suggested of me. And I showed up and I worked.
And you had accountability.
And I had it, and that was it. Like, and in fact, it's on my calendar, so it existed, but I didn't know that this was existing until yesterday.
Yeah.
And so every Wednesday at 12:30, I have my Zoom call, and we're so fortunate, in that we can be in person again. And I have been in the room with my coach 3 times, because we started coaching in the middle of COVID on Zoom. And I've not been I am not the smartest guy in the room, but I will work anybody out of a job if I am given the opportunity. Anyway, I'm definitely not a virtual learner, but there was something about just that weekly accountability. Every 12:30 at Wednesday on Zoom, I had my call with Reedy, and then also what we have in there is it's a round table. I don't know if you guys do any group coaching here at this Market Center.
Every Monday at 11 o'clock, right?
Okay. So I learned so much from that group. And we had agents in there who were doing 60, 70 million. We had agents in there who were just starting out. And again, it was just sort of like a hyper-focused round table of people collaborating and sharing ideas and helping people with their farming strategies. And have you thought about this? Have you done that? And that's where the power is, because we each have different spheres of influence. We each have different people. The person who's going to work with me isn't necessarily going to work with Sharon back there. The person who wants to work with Sharon isn't going to want to work with Richard, and or may want to work with Richard instead of Sharon. I don't know. But it's just, I learned to stay in relationship with people, and having the relationship with my coach, which led to the shift in mindset and the accountability to do the things we agreed to, because I knew every 12:30 on Wednesday he was going to ask me, how do we do?
So what did that $134,000 allow you to do for your mom?
So we say money is good for the good it can do. And my mom had been an LPN for years. And she had always had this dream of going back to school and getting her RN. And raising 2 boys as a single mom with no support outside, it was not easy. She tried to do it twice. It didn't work out. COVID came. She actually got furloughed from her job. She decided to go back to school. And that was at the end of my first year of real estate. And I was able to use that portion of that $134,520 to pay for her education, to pursue her dream, and getting her RN at the age of 61. Wow. And then...
So by you having a coach and taking a stand for yourself, and that person taking a stand for you, that allowed you to do something for your mom. Mm-hmm. That's going to change her life forever.
Yeah, and if I left my backpack in there, but if you've not read the book Who Not How, I talked about it yesterday at the Fort Lauderdale Market Center. It basically boils down to leverage. Who Not How is all about aligning yourself with the people to help you execute your dreams, vision, mission, values, beliefs, and all those things. And for me, it all started with a phone call to Jack. From Jack led me to my coach. And that one phone call has led to me sitting up here today and The rest is just sort of history.
So, as the market transitions and things have to be done a little more differently. When I say differently, things actually have to be done. We have to go back to actually practicing real estate. What would you encourage people to do differently in their business right now?
Well, I think I learned a saying. It says, if you stick to the basics, you never have to get back to the basics. And the basics of real estate is that we're not in the business of selling houses. We're in the business of serving people. And if we stay in relationship with our people and we nurture those relationships, the results will follow. And so it's the touches, and it's the 36-point touch, and it's the handwritten notes, and it's staying in front of your people so that when a real estate need presents itself, you're the first person and the last person they think of to call.
Yeah, it's about. We could say we're in the real estate business all day long.
We're not.
We are in the relationship business. Real estate's a byproduct of those relationships.
So much so, and I believe so strongly in them, that I got my phrase, tagline, trademarked, which is, it's more than real estate, it's a relationship. And, out of that, the referrals and relationships that have come along the way, and we all know how easy it is to close a referral above just a, cold lead or cold call or whatever. And, and through that whole process of learning these things and having this change of mindset and taking a totally different approach to my business as an actual business and not just sort of as like a little piggy bank to play in, the book Who Not How talks about how once we align with the right people in our lives and we become a who for others and they become a who for us. And now I'm in a position now where I get to pour into other people and help them realize, the difference that coaching accountability can make in living a life by design.
So last question I got for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to do anything along the way that was uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm sitting up here. Yeah.
Yeah. What?
No, I mean,
What got you past the uncomfortableness and to doing it?
There's another saying. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I had done so much and I'd hit a plateau, and I'm like, okay, well, if this is working for Jack, who's, sure, there you go, you said it. If it can work for him, why can't it work for me? And once that seed was planted, I believed it for myself. And if you don't believe it for yourself, believe that we believe. Yeah. Believe that and borrow our belief until you can believe it for yourself, because it can happen. All right. I was renting a $900 one-bedroom apartment, sleeping on an air mattress. Y'all know that fork, knife, and spoon? That you probably don't because you're all very successful. But there's a fork, knife, and spoon set they sell at Walmart that comes wrapped together with a little piece of paper if you can't afford a full set. That is what I ate with every night when I first got started. And, and what keeps me grounded and keeps me moving forward is it all comes back to gratitude and mindset. And I'm grateful for how God, higher power, universe, whatever you want to call it, the killer Kool-Aid, whatever. I'm grateful for what the relationship with a coach has done in my life. I'm grateful for my affiliation with this company and the opportunities it is now affording me in my life. And if I start out every day with some gratitude, and I'm not some I'm not some go sit on the beach guy and do all namaste and get centered, okay? I'm I get up early and I read a couple things and I turn on my gospel music and Gaithers, and I get going, and that's how I start my day. And it can all be out the window by the time I get to the market center. But you know what? My intention was to start that way, and I can always bring myself back, and I can choose to restart my day at any time throughout the day that I wish. And so I have this newfound way of life and gratitude and perspective on my business and relationships that all started with that one call. The power of example that led to the call, that led to the relationship, that's led to the work that got me to where I am in my life.
Jason, thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thanks.